If you Googled, "How much do I need to retire this year?" you probably saw the same scary number everywhere, $1.8 million. That's what a recent Charles Schwab survey says Americans believe they need. And within days, every finance website on the internet ran that headline. Here's the problem. That number isn't based on actual math. It's based on a survey, people just guessing what sounds like enough. And when I actually ran the numbers, I found most people can retire comfortably for a fraction of that. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how much you really need, show you the formula financial planners actually use, and reveal a change to the most famous retirement rule in the world that could shrink your number by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let's get into it, where the $1.8 million number actually comes from. So first, let's talk about where this $1.8 million figure comes from, because I think understanding that helps you realize why you shouldn't panic about it. This number comes from a survey, not a calculation based on your income, your expenses, or your lifestyle. It's just the average answer people gave when asked, "How much would make you feel comfortable in retirement?" The same survey found people expect that money to last around 23 years. Now here's what's wild. Once that number got published, it got picked up by dozens of outlets, and suddenly it became the number. But ask yourself, does $1.8 million make sense for someone who wants a simple, quiet retirement in a small town? Versus someone who wants to travel the world 4 times a year? Obviously not. One number can't fit every single person's life, yet that's exactly how it got reported. And when you actually compare that number to reality, it gets even more interesting. As of the most recent data, the median retirement account balance for Americans aged 65-74 was around $200,000. For those 75 and older, it dropped to roughly $130,000. That's nowhere close to $1.8 million, and yet, according to that, it's not a good idea to retire at 65-8 million. And yet, according to that same broader research, the majority of adults over 60 say they're doing okay financially. So there's clearly a massive gap between the headline number and how real people are actually living. That tells me the $1.8 million figure isn't a requirement. It's an anxiety-inducing average that doesn't reflect how retirement math actually works. What you actually need, the real formula. So if $1.8 million isn't the real target, what is? It comes down to 2 things: how much you plan to spend and how much of your savings you withdraw each year. Let's start with spending. Fidelity's general guidance is that you should plan to spend around 80% of your pre-retirement income each year once you stop working. So if you're earning $100,000 a year right now, plan on spending roughly $80,000 a year in retirement. If you're a high earner, that percentage can actually drop. Fidelity suggests some people can comfortably live on 55 to 60% of their working income, since a lot of your biggest expenses, like a mortgage or raising kids, are usually done by then. Now here's the second half of the equation: how much of your total nest egg you withdraw every year. This is where most people have heard of something called the 4% rule. The 4% rule says, in your first year of retirement, you withdraw 4% of your total portfolio. Every year after that, you adjust that dollar amount for inflation. This rule was designed to make your money last roughly 30 years without running out, and it was created by a financial advisor named William Bengen back in the 1990s. So here's the simple math. If you want to spend $40,000 a year in retirement and you're using the 4% rule, you'd need a nest egg of exactly $1 million. That's the whole formula. Take your desired annual spending, divide by 4%, and that's your number. Notice something? $1 million is already way less than $1.8 million, and we haven't even gotten to the twist yet. The twist: even Bengen doesn't use 4% anymore. Here's where it gets really interesting. The man who literally created the 4% rule doesn't even use 4% for his own retirement anymore. In more recent interviews, Bengen has said his original research was based on a very simple two-asset portfolio, just intermediate-term U.S. Treasury bonds and large-cap U.S. stocks. That's it. No small-cap stocks, no international exposure, none of the diversification most modern investors actually use. Once he tested his model against a more diversified portfolio, one that includes small-cap and micro-cap stocks alongside his original assets, he found that a higher withdrawal rate was sustainable. He's publicly stated he now personally uses a withdrawal rate closer to 4.7%, built around 7 different asset classes, because he believes that better reflects how a modern, diversified investor actually holds their money. So let's redo that math with 4.7% instead of 4%. If you still want to spend $40,000 a year, you'd only need about $851,000, not $1 million. That's a difference of roughly $150,000 just from adjusting your withdrawal assumption. Now, I want to be fair here. A higher withdrawal rate does carry more risk. You're pulling out more of your portfolio each year, which increases the chance you could outlive your money in a bad market environment. Bengen's own backtesting suggests 4.7% is reasonable for a well-diversified portfolio. But if you're the type who wants to play it extra safe, especially if you're retiring early, sticking closer to 4%, or even a bit lower, isn't a bad idea. But here's the bigger point. Even at the low end, using 4%, if you applied the original scary $1.8 million target and withdrew at Bengen's newer 4.7% rate, you'd actually be pulling out $84,500 a year. At the classic 4% rate, that same amount only gets you $72,000 a year. Ask yourself honestly, does the average retiree need to spend $72,000 to $84,000 every single year? Considering that the median individual income in the U.S. is only around $50,000 a year, that $1.8 million target is wildly overshooting what most people actually need. Don't forget Social Security. Now here's a factor a lot of these scary headlines completely leave out: guaranteed income. That includes Social Security, a pension, or even side income you plan to keep earning. As of recent data, the average Social Security retirement benefit is right around $1,800 to $1,900 a month. Let's round that down to $1,800 to stay conservative. That's $21,600 a year, guaranteed from the government. That reduces how much you actually need to pull from your own savings. So let's go back to our $40,000 a year example. If Social Security is covering $21,600 of that, you only actually need to withdraw about $18,400 from your own portfolio in year one. At a 4.7% withdrawal rate, that means your required nest egg drops to roughly $412,000. Now yes, I know what some of you are thinking. What if Social Security isn't around when I retire? Or benefits could get reduced? Those are fair concerns, and I'm not saying rely on Social Security as your entire plan. What I am saying is this: if you have any additional guaranteed income, a pension, rental income, a part-time side hustle, it dramatically lowers the total pile of money you personally need to save. The $1.8 million number assumes zero outside income, which just isn't realistic for most retirees. What about retiring early? Now, a lot of you watching this channel aren't just trying to retire at 65, you're trying to retire early. And I want to be upfront. The earlier you retire, the more money you generally need, because your savings have to stretch across more years. The single biggest lever for early retirement isn't your salary, it's your savings rate, meaning the percentage of your income you save and invest rather than spend. Here's a simple example using a 4% withdrawal assumption. Someone earning $75,000 a year who saves 70% of their income could theoretically retire in around 7 years, starting from zero. Drop that savings rate to 50%, and it stretches to about 12 years. Drop it further to 20%, and you're looking at closer to 27 years before you hit your number. Compare that to the average American savings rate, which sits at just around 4.5%. At that pace, based on the math, it could take over 50 years to reach financial independence, which honestly explains why traditional retirement feels so far away for so many people. That's exactly why on this channel, I push for a savings rate of at least 15.20% if you're serious about retiring early. Once you get into that 40.65% range, the timeline shrinks dramatically, sometimes down to a decade or less, depending on your income and expenses. Quick example. Let's say you earn $100,000 a year, save 40% of it, and you're currently starting with $50,000 already invested. Using a 4.7% withdrawal rate, you could theoretically hit financial independence in around 15 years. If you're 30 years old right now, that puts full retirement at 45. That's the power of a high savings rate combined with time in the market. Your 4-step action plan. So now that we've established you probably don't need $1.8 million, let's talk about how to actually build your real number and hit it. Step 1. Define your retirement lifestyle and stay flexible. Sit down and honestly ask, do I want to live on $30,000 a year? $50,000? $80,000? Your number completely depends on the lifestyle you want, and that number should be revisited every year because life circumstances change constantly. Step 2. Protect your compounding from lifestyle creep. As your income grows, resist the urge to upgrade everything, the car, the house, the vacations. Every dollar you don't spend today is a dollar that can compound for decades. Big lifestyle jumps are one of the fastest ways to delay retirement by years. Step 3. Plan around the rules, not just the dream. If you're targeting early retirement, remember that traditional retirement accounts like a 401k or IRA typically can't be touched without penalty until age 59 and a half. If you're planning to retire at 40 or 45, you need a bridge strategy, taxable brokerage accounts, a Roth conversion ladder, or other income sources to cover the gap. Also factor in big life variables, a spouse's income and spending habits, and the cost of raising children, both of which can significantly shift your timeline. Step 4. Keep costs low and stay the course. Watch your investment fees closely. High expense ratios quietly eat into your returns over decades. Avoid trying to time the market and stay away from high-interest debt like credit cards, which can undo years of progress in a matter of months. So to wrap this up, no, you almost certainly do not need $1.8 million to retire comfortably. Your real number depends on your spending, your withdrawal strategy, and any guaranteed income you'll have coming in. For a lot of you, that number could be a fraction of what the headlines are telling you. I'd genuinely love to know. Drop a comment below with what number you think you actually need to retire. Let's compare notes. And if you're serious about getting there faster, my next video breaks down exactly how to build a path to early retirement starting from $0. I'll leave that right up here for you to watch next. Thanks for watching Tyson Retires. I'll see you in the next one.